In bulk before getting back to the exhibition building, but everything was well. Still, there is some piece of exhibition that stays here. You'll be able to see the stands. We're not despairing. We will try to convey this spirit atmosphere. Today is the second day of the exhibition, and there's not few people. There's many people. We thought there would be few, but there's many. And I would like to introduce to you the organizer of this exhibition, the director who organized the exhibition. Do like a ceremony, all official, though it's virtual too. But I think everything should be official. Can you hear or see me? We can't see you, Diana, so please try switching off and switching on, back on. If way, let's start. Let's start. If nobody says that we're not herders. We can only hear you. We can't see you. It is a very low bit rate on the network. We have everything good. It's all perfect here. We can see you. Maybe you will first talk about your impression of the first day, because I'm sure that many of our listeners have never been at the exhibition. So I think, okay, maybe our organizer will help us and show. Okay, now I want to invite our organizer of the exhibition. He's been organizing it. It's already the 86th. He will speak Chinese and I will translate into Russian. Thank you, Alex, very much. We're going to continue because we have officially opened our exhibition. Let's look at what's going on here. What's going on at the stands? And my colleague, Vasily, she's a journalist who's a colleague, and she's going to talk about the representatives of the manufacturers of APIs. Vasily, can you hear me? We can hear you, Vasily. You can start. И все время, знаешь, как будто птички в вольере поют. В зоопарке попугайчики вот эти летают. А сейчас вообще все пропало. И звук пропал, и изображение. Ну, короче, если этот дядя будет... Вот. Ага, опять не слышит. Vasily went off by himself. The company that Vasily was just showing, I heard they had very bad communication. We've been working with this company a long time, and you probably know that we developed the Divrastaban. That's the name of the drug, and we buy this drug from our partners. We have an exclusive contract with them. The company is well tested, well proven, and we're recommended to the colleagues. We're recommended to some vendors to pay attention to this company because they got all the documents. No problems will be with registration. And I'm gonna pay attention to what focus on when it comes to choosing a drug substance. Commercially speaking, the colleague will say the technical side of it. So you may get in touch with this company and buy their substances because we've been dealing with them a long time and we check it batch to batch in our laboratory. So we guarantee the quality. The company are also famous for being nice to talk to and they're quick in correspondence. They answer messages pretty fast, so we can vouch for them. And now I would like Vasily to come up front and show what we have on this next stand. Vasily, can you hear me? I must apologize because uh, the internet quality varies location to location at this exhibition. I can see your modem is on and the communication is pretty good. So hopefully the participants will forgive us the trouble. Siri, could you please talk about this company and please introduce it? Thank you, Vasily. Could you please show us, Vasily, what is going on at the other stands? We're very interested. Like here, where I'm sitting, there is almost no people behind me. But could you walk us through to the next stand and show what's going on in the rest of the premises? We had a little COVID break, so this territory, this location is pretty empty, which is a pity. A little bit crowded now. See, it's empty. Unfortunately, this is what is going on in many exhibition locations because for Ukraine, Russia, and other countries, one new case is not that scary. But for China, they have the toughest control, tightest control, and many people just left because of their fear. Let's go to the other stand, Vasily. to another and simply walk about and look for a new thing, maybe something's different since I was here last. As you can see, guys, there are participants, but very, very few. The stands are pretty grand and beautiful in this. And also, please pay attention to the decoration of these stands because a Chinese exhibition must have living flowers and also snacks like candies, cookies, water is a must. But the living flowers is something very new, very brand new to us. See the stands and see the huge vases for those flowers. And it's a pity it's going on this way. It's just the second day of this exhibition, and there's one more day tomorrow, but tomorrow it will down, most likely. And exhibition day starts at, as far as I got, from 9 o'clock till 4:30. The stands have the company's top products, and now we're in the exhibition stand center on APIs. The owner was talking about for more buildings, one with the APIs and excipients, another, as far as I heard, with equipment. Vasily, which is the next company? Next company left because of the pandemic. Now, Lean, we don't have any other. I got you. Thank you very much, Vasily. Please show us the exhibitions and again. We're going to be moving on. See the emptiness. If you were at the Chinese exhibition at least once, you would never believe it will be like this. That was a surprise to us too. Vasily, thank you. Now I'm taking the floor, and we don't want to procrastinate. So want to move on. Can you hear me? We just had Vasily who showed us something around and the exhibition stands. And I would like to remind you of who we are and what we're doing. We've been familiar with many of you. We're team holder farm, and we're doing contract development of drugs, pharmaceutical substances, and drugs, substances and pharmaceutical ingredients. Today, the top products that we are presenting are intermediates because there is plenty of substances, but when it goes about intermediates, there is not so many manufacturers. And today we have introduced our intermediates like Piranavir, Dranidoran, and others. We have what you call that patent. We have a Chinese patent for all the compounds. They praise our intermediates a lot. We're proud of this. But let's talk about the substances. Since in Ukraine and Russia, the production of substances is not that widespread compared to China and India, I therefore assume that the and medias are not so interesting to you as the substances themselves. Also, I would like to say and show you our video presentation of our company. I want to show you our equipment. I want to show you our team that works every day for our clients, because many of you cannot come over to China in person. We met the visitors. We used to meet them to bring them over from different countries, but we don't know when China is going to open the borders. Now, what's going to save us is China's vaccine. China's vaccination, not everyone can afford it. That's their condition for entering this country. Not in all countries this vaccine is available. So we can only virtually look at the exhibition, so I can make a virtual introduction of our company. Let's put the video on, and it's pretty short, and you will see what's going on inside and what's the atmosphere we're working in.
Tianjin Holder Pharmaceutical Technology Company Limited is a CRO company focused on generic drugs, providing technology research and development services for the entire industry chain, from pharmaceutical intermediates, APIs, to preparation. Our company has a large number of PhD experts with more than 10 years of experience in major international pharmaceutical companies in China, the United States, and Europe. They are familiar with FDA, EMA, ICH, and other regulations and guidelines, and can meet the requirements of different regional regulations, process development, technology transfer, document writing, and registration application are completed with high quality and efficiency to help customers achieve the quick drug listing. At present, our company has cooperated with customers from the United States, Bulgaria, and Ukraine and helped them achieve quick listing of multiple varieties. We have a complete R&D quality management system and professionals with management experience to ensure that daily research work meets the requirements of relevant laws and regulations. What's more, any country's official inspections of the R&D site are ensured to be satisfied, and the handover of technology and documents to customers are ensured to be of high quality. Our laboratory is equipped with international world-class testing and analytical testing equipment like ILA, SAM, Waters, Shimadu, Agilent, and other with audit tracking system can ensure the traceability and truthfulness of data to meet regulatory requirements in the drug development process. Holder Farm adheres to customer centricity. In addition to its own cooperating companies, it can also found and evaluate intermediates and APIs for customers worldwide, match customers with high-quality, low-priced, and stable source materials, and improve the competitiveness of customers' products. With a professional team and the continuous lean technology, Tianjin Holder Pharmaceutical Technology Company Limited focuses on generic drug R&D service, adhering to high efficiency, high quality, and cost-effective one-stop butler service to help customers around the world shorten R&D cycles and reduce R&D costs. And we always provide customer with high-quality drug R&D services.
You heard the sound, and it's so good, and thank you for watching our video. I would like to remind you that our R&D unit is divided into 5 units, actually. That's the synthesis units. I'm going to introduce you to the director, then R&D, analytics, QA, and registration. And because of this, because it's like 5 units, today we took like a sample and all the necessary information. We just decided to share this with you because when it comes to procurement and choosing ingredients or substances, the procurement department sometimes don't know what the R&D want. They can look at it from their point of view, but when the substance is procured, there might be many questions. To avoid that, we're going to share our knowledge. I would like to start with the commercials first. The third part, that's what I'm doing. I'm sure that many had these questions, like issues of communication. Talking to Chinese manufacturers could be even impossible to get on the official manufacturer's website. Many people saw this because I studied in China and I worked in China. I often can't find the official company site. Number two, no answer to a request on a product from the manufacturer. You can wait for a month without an answer. Number three is negotiations with the supplier that drag on. It first goes well, and then oops, and it's the manufacturer is gone or the client is gone. Then number four, after the long negotiation, there are no necessary documents. I could more detail about this case. We're working from inside on this, and we know some peculiarities of Chinese manufacturers, not all of them, but there are still. And she wants to warn you from about different tricks they might have. And you sort of ask for real samples of products and they don't match the desired ones. And you start looking for the API over again. For example, in our case, it's a couple of weeks that we'll look for an R&D source. We take the special R&D sources, we take samples from them, and we start our laboratory investigation study. But having talked to the Ukrainian and some Russian manufacturers, we found out that their process takes a longer time, sometimes half a year, a year. They look for the right substance. What do we do to shorten this period? Of course, I must also present our services because I think this will be very useful for drug manufacturers that are not from China. And we all know that most supply substances to China, from China. And now the situation is pretty scary. Many have already felt it on themselves. They either stop communicating or they delay their supplies while the substance is in the end that's registered for the right product. So please pay attention to this service that's picking up the substances for the dosage form that you're claiming for. You are sending us a product or a dosage form that you're developing. It could be tablets, or it could be injections, or it could be capsules. Then we start picking up the substance. Of course, substances are different from tablets. In China, the exhibitions close pretty early, and there might be some background noise. So what was I talking about? The choice of substance. Looks like we get an order from you, a product that you want to develop, and we start picking up the substance. We have a database of manufacturers we work with, and we start calling them and asking them for samples. We initially choose 3 different manufacturers. And from 1,100, for example, manufacturers that took part in the exhibition, you can only find the right substance from 2 or 3. What is the criteria we are looking at? Not only in the full DMF, but also You've got to pay attention to the qualitative indicators. It's only possible when you have the right conditions, when you have the right checked and yeah, the analytical debriefing analysis of this sample, and you look into the passport, and you will see the fitness of this substance. Most often, they send you a passport with good values, with good things written. See a client this year. But actually, how it works, that the API is disgusting. To avoid this, provide these services, and if we're sure of this substance, then we either offer you to purchase it or give you the contacts, and you start contacting them directly. You know that's a proven substance, and it's good to use for an R&D. If you now have thought that yes, it was advertising, we don't need this service, I would like to pay attention to this event. And what I'm talking about here, I'm going to share the knowledge in our chief technologist will speak English. We have translation available. That will be um, exclusive information. He will talk about development. He will, because they look at the substances from different angles, and hopefully this information will help you make the right choice on your own. And now let's start with the commercial things. That's absence or badly compiled DMF. For example, there is the API that you need, and it can't provide the full DMF. That's a frequent case in China because with China, regulatory things are pretty tight, but they have their own appearance of their DMF files. So they're different from our European. So that you register it in Europe, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and Belarus. They have to have a standard DMF form, but those working for the internal market, for the domestic market, they only have their DMA in Chinese, sometimes translated, sometimes made mistakes in the translation. These mistakes impacting the registration process, many bad comments, so that causes lots of trouble to both the procurement section and the R&D section. Number two is the quality standards don't the EU standards, and it is a frequent case in the Chinese practice. Sometimes they and they will say that the product does not match the results that were indicated in the quality passport. But sometimes it is a case of passport also saying that the data applied is really fits the norm, but the substance itself does not fit for developing this particular product. Like in the synthesis unit, I've already said that in the drug development unit, they look at the substance in different ways. For example, at synthesis, it passes, they can synthesize something or do something. And when it comes to R&D section, it's not that it's bad, but it doesn't match, doesn't fit them. Now, what else do we have? And so what else did I talk about with many colleagues? That's adjusting communication with the manufacturing plant. It's pretty difficult. The official website of the company that seems to represent this manufacturer, but it's all but fake. This is also the language. It's the 21st century, and many people learn English, but this will be dead ends to many Chinese manufacturers. It's okay with the correspondence, but But when you call each other or when you talk on video, it doesn't work. Also, prices. Finding out the prices. Documentation is half trouble, but when it gets to registration, approval of the project, very rarely you manage to register something right from the first time without critical remarks. Not everyone has it ideal. I mean, you might make changes, might need to make changes. You get in touch with the plant and you start feeding the explanations of what to be changed, what to pay attention to. Mentality also plays a big role. The Chinese would say it's just trifle. You said it's important and it's not important to them, it seems. And then negotiation is getting longer. So the R&D drags on and the registration drags on, which is detrimental to the company. What else I would like to say that China does not have Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Viber, Telegram. They don't have those programs. And where can you find a place in China to find out about new information? Download program. It's a direct access on all the platforms. And look them up on telephone number. If they give you a telephone number and then they email where they say best regards, they have a telephone number. You call, you put it in the program in the software, and you'll find either a procurement representative or sales representatives. So you can get in touch with them more quickly and deal with that problem. You can also write in Russian and then push the button and translation will be pretty good. And also, this is a pretty popular social network and they sit in it 24/7. So please pay attention when it comes to looking for substance. If you have a telephone number, you have a telephone in the best regards, then you can get in touch with them. I've already spoke about the efficiency. Looks like I've touched upon all the commercial things I faced. We might also mention the price of the substance, but I think for the Chinese, I think like every nationality will provide a discount for themselves, for their country people, nicer prices than for the foreigners. And it's fine. Many people think that if you directly connect with the manufacturer, you will get lower prices, but it's wrong. We have very many cases when the substance is already registered in Ukraine, and the manufacturer was buying it directly. Then after that, they started to communicate on R&D. We speak about one drug, then another one. And then we understand that, oh yes, they are overpricing. And we help price negotiations and provide the discount. We finally, it could be not many $1,000s. It could be $50, $100, $200. That depends on the volume. I think on a big volume, even a small discount will be a pleasant bonus to save the company's money. I think that was it with the commercial points I was talking about. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. Maybe I missed something. You may ask them. And pretty soon we're going to hear from our technical representative. And this is the synthesis section. Frank. Frank is going to talk about technical points. I will ask them to speak slowly and clearly and briefly. If you have any questions, ask them in the chat. I'm going to pass the floor to him. Just a couple of questions, Diana. One, while we're talking about the API, I would like to ask you, for example, you were telling this interesting story. You convinced me that it's best to have a local partner to deal with the Chinese suppliers. And how much is that intermediary service? All depends on what you're going to do. If you just find an API substance, we're talking about volumes and we're talking about how many times we cooperate. If that's a one-off, this will be one price. If that is a contract for a year, we take just a little percentage of interest. It's about 3%. 3%. But just to be honest, with the plans that we sign the agreement about R&D, we help it for free. Because in LinkedIn, you can see very often that I often offer help related to China, not only pharmaceutical area, but also others, because I understand that for many Chinese, for many Europeans, something is unusual, especially the Chinese language. I've been here the third year and I'll be helping you if you have any questions. I can talk individually on one or another issue. Thank you, Diana. I've made sure as well, as I said before, about that presentation or article on equipment that we had several years ago, that it's important to have a important and reliable partner that is inside the market. So we have different mentalities. And we need to understand what the Chinese feel and think. It's very important, especially when we talk about large deals. Normally they buy the big volumes, right? Ingredients. And it's very important. And you know the best, I assume, that what companies are reliable, what are closing down, which ones give credible, which incredible information. So it can be the eyes and ears of our Ukrainian speaking partner in China. There is a question about the exhibition as well. CPHI and HEMA, the international exhibitions. There were many APIs from Chinese manufacturers. API China, are they oriented to the domestic market or to the external too? According to our observation, plenty of manufacturers are oriented towards the external market, since all the brochures have been translated into 2 languages, and you can also see translators at company stands. And in the next 2 or 3 years, when China was open, 3 years before the pandemic, it's either the company invites the translators beforehand, or there are volunteers, because there were very many foreigners from different countries. They found out the information. They needed to promote their brands, promote their services. So very often, and it was yesterday and today, that we walked about the exhibition. The first question we ask is, was your dossier in a separate format, and what language it? And if the company said that this is GMP, it's written in English, then this is a 100% export-oriented company. And this is a good trend, because in China, there are plenty of high-quality manufacturers. I think it was a stereotype that in China, everything was of poor quality. And I assume that was because China was a pretty closed country. Many people didn't know. Now China is open to the world, and I think in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to have very many Chinese pharmaceuticals, very many drugs. China will go ahead, has gone ahead in this area. Thank you, Diana, for the comments. Now let's switch to the speaker, to the front. Now it's over to him.
Hi, everyone. I'm Frank. I came from Tianjin Holder Pharmaceutical in China. In past 4 years, I got some experience in Antibiotics in Canada. Today, the topic is about the screening or selection of qualified API for drug product. Okay. This topic is included 4 parts. Let us the first part. The first part is about the link between API and the drug product. Sometimes API and the drug product from different companies, the link between each other was relied on authority regulatory. The DMF document is a major way to gain information. This indirect communication may result in loss of information. A qualified API may be not missed. And another time, unqualified API will consume your more time and energies. You know, the time is the cost. So the information sharing is important between each other. The second part is about the difficulty of screening qualified API. The major is matching. Sometimes you will find one API suppliers will supply many drug product manufacturers. But in another side, sometimes you will find many APIs cannot supply one drug product. Why? The quality, the price, and others. I know maybe the CQA is an important factor. Okay, which factor is deciding? Every company has his own selection system. For example, qualification, registration, sustainable, and price. You check sometimes you check the information about the qualification and the registration, and the price is reasonable. The COA is conformed with USP or EP. But when you got the API and started the preliminary research, you will find the API is not suitable for your drug product. Okay, in this time, the issue is about maybe the undesired matching CQA between each other may cause the issue. What is the CQA? Let's review the SHQ11, drug substance quality linked to drug product. The quality of the drug substance should be determined through the consideration of its use in drug product, physical, chemical, biological, and microbiological properties and characteristics. The quality target product profile, potential CQAs of the drug product, and the previous experience from related products have identified potential CQA of the drug substance. The API development are different drug product development. The CQA is different. As a API development, the researchers maybe give more concern about the process impurities. For example, SHQ3, SHM7, and others, acid crystal form stability, but will give less concern about the particle size, crystal habit, and others. But particle size and crystal habit is important for the drug product, especially the solid product. Okay, sorry. If a specification is confirmed with USP or EP, including assay, sometimes contain crystal form, crystal habit and particle size will be not concerned. But this message is about is important for solid drug product. Why API development give less concern for this information? When isolation API, the research is want to give more yield because the yield is cost. If the API, the crystal form is okay because it relates the international property, so it's important. But API didn't give more concern about particle size and crystal habit because this extra effort. As normal, crystallization control will control the pharmaceutical particle size and the crystal habit. If crystallization is unsatisfied, milling is the only way, but this way will cause yield loss. Secondly, particle size and the crystal habit will be controlled by crystallization, but it is a high risk. For example, the equipment change and the scale change and speeding change, all these parameters will cause the particle size change. So it's a very, very difficult and it's a challenging parameter. Secondly, is the yield control. Is high will cause some yield loss. So as API researchers, she didn't want to give more time and energy to develop the particle size and crystal habit. For the drug product development, this sequence of drug product is for the solid drug product. They will give more concern about the dissolution profile because crystal form, particle size, and crystal habit and the degraded impurity will affect the dissolution profile. But as the people who develop the drug product will give more concern about the process impurities. For the liquid product, the researchers give more sterile and endotoxin, degraded impurities, and stability. But he didn't concern about the crystal form, particle size, and crystal habit. So the difference of the CQA will cause the difference of concern. The difference of the concern will cause the API and the drug product is different. In other words, the API is qualified for guideline on the pharmacopoeia, but sometimes the API was not qualified for your drug product. The third part, how to select a qualified API. API applicant is to manufacture the drug product. So if the API applicant is knowing the drug product and the drug product knowing the API, the information sharing will cause the API give a more matching about the drug product. How to do is the concern. Okay, how to select qualified API? The step one, the identified CQA. Which properties and characteristics of API will influence on the drug product for the solid product and the liquid product, especially the injections. Step two, assess the manufacturer's or supplier's registration and qualification. Whether this qualification and registration is okay. Whether the CQAs are included in COA, information with the API applicant and the sampling. When you got the sampling, you can test these items. You should. This item is key for your drug product. So step three, sample analysis. Testing the key items and user test. Sometimes the testing is not, sometimes testing is not found the key parameter, but the user test is not suitable for your product. So the user test important action. The last part is re-exercise. Whether the API is qualified, you should give a conclusion. Sorry， 后边那个就是案例是中间穿插点吗？还是直接讲？
好，
案例后边。
你可以讲。
中间不穿插一下吗？
啊？
我这块讲到这块已经没有了。
哦。
后边还有2个案例，案例大约10几分钟。
这个呢？
就这没讲呢，直接。
没事，你可以讲。
或者你穿插一下学习。你穿插一下。
不要。
OK。I'm sorry. The able contact is about the ancillary content. The next we will share 2 cases about the solid product and the liquid product. Thank you. The first case is about Alspar, is a solid drug product. The key is the influence of crystal habit and particle size. In phase of lab development, 1 kilogram API was prepared and the optimization confirmed. We used the dispatch API and running the drug product process development. When the process parameter was confirmed, we used this API to give a pilot scale, pilot research. When in the phase of a pilot, 5 kilograms API was prepared in the same parameter in another pilot plant. Only the equipment was changed. On the drug product process, we use this API running the drug product pilot, but we found this batch API was not suitable for our drug product. We studied many factors, but only the equipment was changed. After further research, we found the lab scale, the product particle size about the D90 is about 50 micron. But in the pilot scale, the D90 particle size is about 20 micron. It's smaller to the lab scale. So the drug product department give more concern about particle size. They researched again, but the result is unchanged and desperate. So the pressure shifted to API. As normal, slowing the speed, stir speed will cause the particle size to enlarge. But a larger particle size is too small is easy by milling, but small to large is very challenging. So the slowing stirring speed to tried. The result is fortunately after changing the stirring speed, we got a bigger particle size API. The drug product development use a new batch API and give a fortunately and desired drug product. This issue was happened in one company with two departments. If this issue was happened in two companies, if the information was not shared, will be this API manufacturer was eliminated. So the particle size and the particle height is important for the drug product, but is not important for API. Okay, the next cases is about the liquid drug product. This case is about the European injection. As normal, the injection process is simple to solid product, but the criteria for API is more strictly, very more strictly. Sometimes, even now, we didn't know how the criteria is for your drug product. For example, we bought several batches of API, but when running the drug product process, we found 2 batches of API was not suitable for our injections. We checked the process. We know there are no change. So the API is maybe the problem is happened with this. We pick out all the API about the undesired and have a recrystallization for this API and running the process again. But the result is unfortunately and desperate. So it didn't have enough time to research the reason. So this API suppliers will be eliminated. So the degradation impurities was an important key for the injection development. Okay, thank you.
It was not a very good audio perception of the text Frank was talking about, unfortunately. But if you summarize in a couple sentences, it was very good. I assume we can make it even better because it's maybe we might prepare a PDF document with a technical part that will be like a set of notes for the technologists and for procurement, just to pay attention to. And I assume this will be better. Just let's have an electronic option, electronic version. Okay. And we'll be able to send the documents to our participants, and they will stay with them forever. There's also a question from the chat. In the pandemic, it's impossible to do um, go out and have an audit in China. Do you provide such a service on your contract? Yes, we do it. I forgot talking to talk about this. Thank you for you asking this question. I understand that it's impossible in the pandemic. Now it is possible online when it's allowed on the official level. We can do this. We also go out to manufacturers, to the labs. We run checks and we prepare reports and we send it out to our clients. So no questions, you can get in touch and we'll pick up the right method for you and ourselves, and we can do these kinds of services. I think that was very important information to your listeners. You want to add something on API? I think it's been through with the commercial and technical part. So I think we can answer the questions. If any, we are not only working with ingredients and drug substances, but if you need help in cosmetic ingredients or veterinary ingredients, you can also come to us. We have partners and we're not doing veterinary, we're not doing cosmetic things. We have good partners. And we wanted to present ingredients are also cosmetic ones, but because of the situation in the city, the companies left beforehand, so we couldn't have done this. We'll be able to answer questions with our help. Thank you very much. We're going to remind you and talk about it. There's an opportunity to talk about vet and cosmetic drugs. We are so representatives of cosmetics, and there should be a feedback on that. So if you don't mind, then it was very important to me, not only as a specialist, a very professional, but also as a square person to listen to any analyticals or review. Yeah, I know that you're doing lots of presentations and reports. What drugs do you think will be very highly demanded in the next future? What diseases we're going to have in the post-COVID period? Maybe that was the strategy. Maybe you will talk about the strategy for a pharma company that we might need to our armory. Yes, of course, we can talk about it. I remember that in the last year, in December, when we started part of the conference, we also dealt with the topic of possibilities. If you remember that many companies sat on their hands in the pandemic period, just waiting for a better time to buy substances and start R&D, because many had cases of COVID, so that's their factors, but there is a silver lining around each cloud, so you are even in these situations. So we have some sort of like a middle list that we recommend to our clients for to think without waiting for the pandemic to end, because we know that everyone has different reaction to the virus, and it hit the pressure points. Fortunately, my granny, for example, has had it, and this is why she needs a post rehabilitation. This is what we're doing. So first of all, that's the cardiovascular drugs. Cardiovascular, I'll diseases are most widespread in all the countries, and there is no trend for a reduction in this population of patients, and it's worth paying attention to cardiovascular diseases. And what we want to offer you from what we have already developed is Rivaroxaban, and we also pay attention to Edaveron. And I here got a new list, a little bit more drugs for me to share with you, and also atmolol hydrochloride, that's in the injections. Rivaroxaban, Valsartan, and Tipabrior are in tablets because injections cannot always be bought, not always affordable to the people that they're not always in pharmacies. You can pay attention to the dosage form of the tablet. Then let's talk about the drugs that are used to treat antimicrobials, antiviral drugs. Before the pandemic, they were popular. And they're also popular during the pandemic. Nobody knows when the virus will be over. And anti-COVID, antiviral drugs, anti-flu will be demandable, and they are demandable already now. So we suggest that this will be also Temivir. That's a pretty known drug, and then, for example, in China, it is very well sold, and in China, there's also a form granulated, and in our countries, granules and sachets, capsules, 75 milligrams are especially popular here. We also wanted to pay attention to the granules and sachets that are soluble. You add some water and you drink it. That's a viral. Then powder. What's the beauty of it? What's the comfort of this drug? We can give it to little children starting 3 years of age. And also I want to talk about maybe antibiotics. Unfortunately, in our countries, antibiotics could be bought in open access. And in China, they very rarely prescribe antibiotics. It's a pretty sensitive topic. Many people know that Chinese traditional medicine is very developed. And just to be honest, during the pandemic, but in the prime of Corona, they mostly took Chinese traditional medicine. But since we're doing chemical medicine, then Chinese traditional, we're going to omit it. We don't develop it and we don't advise. Let's deal with the antibiotics. The world experts are urging to minimize this, but there are people that do self-medication and buy them. And probably we must especially mention, I'm telling you, Pyramivir and cycloxylin, as well as antidepressants will be popular. That's another interesting thing. Notice that in China, they very often buy drugs for treatment of the nervous system, some antidepressants. And I asked my colleagues working in the procurement and just at the office, and that was a pretty sensitive theme for them. But they noticed that after the Corona, many people in this stress setting needed antidepressants, sedatives. And also there will be drugs for cancer. I will probably mention oxaliplatin, uh, Excel. These drugs are recommended, are being recommended by our developers. But I think we need to look into the product portfolio of the company, and we need to up to the particular sales volume of the company. So you may choose drugs from different groups. You may go with viral ones. Some might think more about antimicrobial or antibiotics. Of course, you need to see or look into the product portfolio of the company. And I'd like our pharmaceuticals to cooperate somehow for more choice for our clients, more generic products due to the pandemic. Many people are left without jobs. Prices are pretty high. We know that original drugs, branded drugs are pretty expensive. We respect them, respect what they're doing, but from a side of the people, regular people, there's not enough generic drugs. So if you have any questions on what drugs we're going to advise or extended list on them, we can do it. We can send it. And everybody knows that for the beginning, analyzing this product for development, we need to analyze the patents, analyze the other things. So if you have any proposals for cooperation, please write and we'll think of something. So I think we're going to be through with the drugs. It is very sensitive a question that you've heard for our recommendations, but we recommend you would move. So I assume that if you divide those groups, so that somebody does this kind of drugs, somebody does this kind of drug to fill this market faster, just to give choice to the client, it's very little probable. But I assume that by way of communication, our contacts together, we can do new products and launch them to the market, and thus help our country people. Thank you, Diana, for your overview. I would like to ask comments. That's about choice of API. He singles out, Andrew singles out another important aspect, and that's intellectual property rights of the developer. For example, rivaroxaban in Ukraine is protected by 7 patents. The API and the dosage form, yes, I can comment on that. I can say even more because in posts in LinkedIn, I mentioned that several times. And we were talking about rivaroxaban, our friends and colleagues. You mentioned that before. Now we're registering. Our Chinese manufacturer is registering API. This is why I think this product is vital, essential. We don't look into the list, we look into the statistic. Rivaroxaban is a very indispensable drug, but if you look at its price, not everyone can afford it. And the generic is very indispensable on the Ukrainian and Russian market. And the generic of rivaroxaban is already registered, and we were talking about this. But it's not yet present on the Ukrainian market. So now we're helping register the substance. And we want to sell this product on the Ukrainian market as fast as possible. So please write to us. Because patent limitations should be looked from different angles. Sometimes you can find ways to bypass them. Sometimes you can directly get in touch to the original drug manufacturer. We simply need a patent representative and legal expert. Was a little bit indirect, but anyway. There's a product called Apixaban, Rivaroxaban. It's one family. If Rivaroxaban won't pass, then they can offer another one. That's one line of products. We can always find a way out of this situation. Many people will agree. And also about the prospects of the drugs. That's about pulmonological diseases treatment, airways. That's where COVID strikes. Do you think it's will be promising? Could you please comment on that? I'm not a doctor. I can't really say that out loud, but we have certain groups, if there's already statistics that it's just to say that COVID is a thing with many varieties. It first hits the chronological diseases, for example, chronic diseases that you had. It hits them. But I think so. I will try to answer this question in written form from our developer's mouth, either individually or I cannot just assume the responsibility. Yes, this drug will be popular and then they start developing it and, you know. Thank you, Diana. I liked very much the last part. I love this applied and very clear cut information. It was to me clear cut information. It's very complex. You need to look into the situation because many things change. I, for one, cannot follow the developments in China. Every week, some kinds of meetings, every week, some kinds of substances. If there's a new substance, then there's a new drug on the market, and I don't catch them pretty often. When I was at an exhibition here, I saw an API for anti-COVID drugs from one big company, and I got interested. It was a pretty interesting topic. And they present 3 APIs, and I took their contact information. So next week, we're going to go to their manufacturer and ask them more about their developments. I assume that's interesting to everyone. But today, we have found out that these drugs are patent protected. So they sort of stepped on our pressure point. Yes, API, Corona drugs. Will we be able to use them? No. Lots of information, very many people, unfortunately no telephone to take a picture. This is how the situation works. The world pandemic, they know which pressure points to press. So keep us posted. I think it's going to be very interesting information to read. I'm going to share it. Yes, we will. We'll try to prepare a report. We want to go to the plant. We don't love talking on the phone or electronically because the company was pretty loud and noisy at the exhibition. I want to look at what they want to offer us because it's anti-COVID, something new, especially our R&D department. I think it will be very interesting. Another question, what criteria do you use for choosing suppliers, ingredients, equipment. We have pretty strict selection. We have a procurement section, and the colleagues working in that section are constantly taught, are being taught. We have a development section, an R&D section, and we have also very many others. And every month we have trainings on each section. So for us to choose a high quality product, our procurement needs to know what an API is, what it has, what excipients, what percentage, what purity. That's all total. They teach it to the commercial department. I wondered why I needed that initially, but now I understand that you want to do a good business, you want to guarantee quality, and we are responsible for the product we're making. So everyone starting from procurement to development needs to study as we have it. And also I said before we make a choice towards one or another ingredient, we take samples of 3 to 5 representatives. We also go to the manufacturer itself to avoid a situation that the product is good, but the manufacturer does not close down tomorrow. It also happens when you register a substance, it's good, it's high quality, but then we understand that the manufacturer might close down or stop this production line for this substance. And what then? So there are very many subtleties that you can only single out when you communicate together. There's a tea ceremony in China. So it's tea drinking that is used for negotiations. So if you choose the supplier, we first work for the domestic market, and CRO we did on the internal market. So we have a database. Some of them are filtered off. We need to be very careful and cautious, and this is why we're here together, to warn you. So I think the information we shared might have slipped somewhere, but it's better you remind them and warn them, and be armed. Gianna, I read a publication in a foreign magazine, and they spoke of China like it's divided into regions, and each of the regions specializes in one or another activity. Somebody wants biotechnology, somebody molecules. And you, Holder Farm, what region are you from? What can you brag? In China, there are 4 towns, 4 cities, and that province and town, city. So our city, Tianjin, is near Beijing. It's 35 minutes to Beijing. Our clients are always surprised so fast, but now it's just 30 minutes. In our area, there are very many production capacities, plants, and plenty of different industries apart from pharmaceuticals. We have many other industries. We don't have any pharmaceutical industries that are huge, but we like bicycles. In our region is famous for bicycles made of good metal. They're exportable. It's our factory. We also do our ingredients and excipients. and intermediates, it's in the next province. So Tianjin is not into pharmaceutical novelties, but we're waiting to show something. We're waiting for guests. When I wasn't here, we had a pharmaceutical tours. We brought guests from Europe, and I think as a Russian-speaking person, I may help organize pharmaceutical tours. It'll be very interesting, starting from history up to the necessary things. You have a certain list of products you want to look. For example, you want to look at, and we do pharmaceutical tours and we bring people over to the biggest plants in China. By the way, the Chinese are always hospitable and friendly. Always give you tea. Well, Diana, thank you. Thank team for preparing this very interesting program, because it was a stress atmosphere of stress. Last night it was questioned. Because the exhibition might have closed down. So thank you very much for your stress resilience. And I think the listeners also need to punch it in, like check it in. Yeah, you're reliable and you promise to talk, promise to support. We are standing true until the end. That's my observation. It's important to have a reliable partner, and it's a pledge of success. It's a basis of success for the project, for the cooperation. So thank you very much again. Well, thank you and your team. You're stress resilient. Because last night we were waiting by the gate, but we were tested and we were let in. Not everything as we planned. The biggest companies have left, but I think it's not the first and the last exhibition that organized. It's not the first and not the last event. You want to be offline together, and I'll be very glad. And thank you, participants. Sorry if something was wrong. Never do things ideally. That's our first online exhibition. We will try to do better this time. Yes, being live on the air is something that could be uncomfortable. Most events are running online, and I hope for the loyalty of our listeners. So thank you very much if you were with us. And they follow us on the network. It was very good. Thank you.